Hello guys, so in today's video we're going to talk about the two ways to form the passive voice in Spanish. So the first way that we're going to discuss is the use of ser. So we'll have the subject followed by either fue or fueron, depending on if the subject is singular or plural, and the past participle. If you're unsure what a past participle is, check out my video. I think it's titled The Past Perfect, and I go over participles in that as well. So let's break this down even further with an example. All right, so let's look at the example here. Estas cartas fueron escritas por mí. And in English, these letters were written by me. So the first part, estas cartas, is the subject, these letters. Then we have the form of ser, fueron, and it's plural because we have multiple letters, right? And then the participle, which is escritas. So escribir is one of those irregular participles that goes to escrito, but remember that the participle has to match in gender and number to the subject. So our subject was estas cartas. The gender is feminine and it's plural, so escritas. Here's another example. I made a mistake. Las pizzas serán comidas por mí. So las pizzas is the subject. It's feminine and it's plural. Then we have a form of ser, serán. So this is actually the future construction of ser. And I wanted to use this example because I wanted to show you that ser can be conjugated in any tense. It can be present, it can be preterite, it can be imperfect, it can be future. So here's an example where ser is conjugated in the future tense. And then we have our participle. Comer is the verb, right? The pizzas were eaten. Comer is to eat. And we changed it so that it matches in gender and number. So normally the participle would be comido, but we have feminine and plural, so comidas would indicate the subject is feminine and plural, which it is. Say constructions is another form of the passive voice in Spanish. So in order to form a say construction, you just need say, any verb in the third person, and it can either be third person plural or third person singular, depending on whether the subject that comes after is plural or singular. So say constructions are actually very common in Spanish, and you see them everywhere when you go and travel to any Latin American Spanish-speaking country. Some examples are se habla español, which means Spanish is spoken here. Se alquila, for rent. Se necesita camarero, a waiter needed. So these constructions are very, very impersonal, right? Okay, so the last form of the passive voice that I'm going to talk about in this video is the se inocente. This is also commonly referred to as the accidental reflexive or the voz media, the middle voice. So it's pretty much a reflexive construction that's used mainly with pronominal verbs and can also be used passively to describe accidental and unplanned occurrences, which is really where we use it a lot in Spanish. So it's called the voz media because it falls somewhere between the active and passive voices. In this type of passive reflexive construction, the reflexive pronoun se precedes an indirect object pronoun that indicates the subject. And then you have the verb, and the verb is conjugated in either the third person plural or third person singular form, depending on if the subject is singular or plural. I've also, in case you forgot them, I've listed the indirect object pronouns, me, te, le, nos, os, les. So I included an example down here, and this will help solidify the concept even more. If you wanted to say, I forgot the books, and you're trying not to put blame on yourself, right? Then you would use the se inocente. Like, it's not my fault that I lost or I forgot my books. Don't blame me. So you would say se. The indirect object is me because it happened to me. The verb is olvidar, means to lose, but since the subject is plural, it's going to be in the third person plural. Olvidaron los libros. I forgot the books. It's almost, if you really want to translate it literally in English, it's like the books forgot themselves to me. Like, it's not my fault I forgot the books, it's the books' fault that they forgot themselves. It's pretty confusing when you put it that way, but just think of it as a way to take the blame off of yourself, or take the blame off of someone else, or take the blame off of you or us. All right, so that's all for this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below.